everyone, Ivy League Gaming here, and today we're playing Dragonheir Silent Gods. For today's video, I think it's finally time to make a proper artifact shop guide. There are a couple artifacts that stick out to me as must get, and even make me happy for pulling a dupe legendary already. Alright, so we're going to go through these kind of in order here, and I'm going to talk about which ones I think are the best, which ones stand out, and who you'd be using these on. So the artifact shop here is very easy to max out just by doing regular summons. You're going to max this out just from doing Starlight Die summons, honestly. So don't feel too worried about which ones you buy early on. If you feel stressed about it, just know you're going to buy all of them very soon anyway. We're only a few weeks into this game, right? So, and we've already like maxed out the damn shop. So I can't complain too much. It's just pretty fun to know that we can at least get all of these, and they will help your characters quite a bit. I think when it comes down to it, there's some obvious, like, okay, simple. Bonus crit damage. Easy, great stat, extra attack on it, cool. This is obviously going to only be for someone you're building actual crit rate on as well. You probably want to build at least 50 to 60% crit rate for these characters. 70's fine. You don't really need to go over that though, because this is the type of game where you're hitting constantly, so you don't need to crit every single time. It doesn't need to be a 100% crit rate, like if you're coming from Rage Shadow Legends. It's not a turn-based game, so it's a little bit different strategy. Overall, Enlightenment is going to be very helpful for some of those characters that have their damage modifiers scale with Enlightenment, like my Corin, for example, or our healer, Hexandra. She uses Enlightenment and attack for her heal. But also just anyone that says they do derived damage, that derived damage cannot crit. So that's where you're going to need to stack Enlightenment. Quickly, let's see. We have the shield one. This is helpful at the beginning if you have someone like a tank that just needs a little extra protection and you have no shields in your team. That shield could help them survive a little bit longer or get off to a better start with survivability. Extra healing is simple here as well. The wearer receives extra healing though, not gives it, so make sure you're very careful using this one. This one would be one that you want to put on someone who's very squishy and dies a lot. If you're like dealing with a kind of support unit that tends to take some extra damage, but you probably don't want to put this on a squishy damage dealer because you're getting defense and HP as the stats. So even though they might need that extra healing, you'd probably want to go full damage as far as your artifact shop goes. I'm gonna talk about all of these ones, and then we're gonna only talk about a few from the others. But I want to talk about these because everybody gets these very easily. Alright, attacks, wearer gains extra attack speed, and we've got a defense and attack percentage. So this is weird that it's defense and attack percentage with this focus on attack speed, but for me this could actually be really good for Fruboth. His heals scale with defense and his damage is based on attack, so that Muddied Demon, whatever the hell his other title is, I think this could be really good for him, and that was something I've been using on him personally. But anyway, attack speed is really good for your Dauntless characters. So if you have a Dauntless character that you think could use this instead of some of the other ones, I mean, it's definitely worth a try early on to help a little bit of survivability, especially because they are melee and they might be taking more damage than usual. If you're having a kind of a weak heal situation or not a great tank, you might need this to help keep your melee damage dealers like those Dauntless characters alive. So this can come in handy for sure. Alright, Volcanic Disc. The wearer's ultimate skill grants bonus damage. This is only the ultimate skill. Keep that in mind. 10 to 15% bonus damage for just the ultimate. So that is simple enough. Great for any damage dealer. It has attack but HP. I don't know why some of these damage related ones have the main stat being a support thing. Kind of takes away a little bit of the value, but hey, it's just the rare, not the legendary one. Alright, Lunar Harp increases the wearer's rate of inflicting buffs or debuffs using the ultimate skill only again. So the ultimate skill only, keep that in mind. It's if you only have a certain percentage to place a buff or land a debuff that's not 100%, you probably want to grab this to ensure the best possible rates. It also adds accuracy, so this is really helpful if you're trying to build accuracy on your characters early on, like when you go into those dungeons and it's like, this guy has whatever resistance, you need whatever accuracy. At least it tells us that we need some accuracy, and this could be a little quick and easy way to get some extra. And then Troll's Heart here, the wearer obtains extra HP. So this is good for any tank, for a healer that heals based on HP maybe. Some of the healers are quirky, like Fruboth for me, he heals based on defense. Hexandra, she heals based on attack and enlightenment. So this might not help them, keep that in mind. This is gonna be more for someone who is probably a tank taking a bunch of damage, or yeah, a healer. Alright, Banner of Oath is where obtains extra defense when there are allies around them. So if you have a tank that is also going in with a group of maybe Dauntless or other melee characters versus a bunch of ranged units, this is going to help them as well. If you're using a tank and everyone else is a ranged unit from afar, this is going to have no benefit, so you're probably not going to want to use that. You're definitely going to benefit most if you're working with a team that has some physical melee damage instead of just ranged shooting and casting of spells. So keep that in mind for this one. Alright, that covers these. I hope that helps you guys with the early decisions for the artifact shop. Let's go on to the others now. Alright, so there are a few that stick out to me personally here, and that's what we're going to talk about. So first one, the number one most important, I think personally for any account that's gonna massively increase your damage is this, the Crown of Unclean. So when the wearer uses ultimate skill to deal damage to enemies, it has a chance of inflicting defense penalty on one of the targets for 10 seconds. It also comes with some accuracy here for landing those debuffs, but it does have defense as a flat main stat, so it will take away if you're trying to go super crazy damage. Keep that in mind. But defense penalty is a 30% reduction in the defense of the enemy. That's going to help your entire team to do more damage no matter what their damage is. All of it's going to do more damage, which is really great. If you come from a game like Raid Shadow Legends, you know decreased defense is our thing. We have to have decreased defense in a team, especially against a big boss, and it makes for a massive damage improvement. When I got this on my team is when I easily start passing the millions in Vortex, but before that I wasn't quite there. It's really fun to do a battle and watch the defense penalty get placed and then watch how much faster the damage just starts ticking down once that debuff is on. It really, really helps, and this is the most valuable one by far in my opinion. Also, the reason I say that is because defense penalty is not on any characters in the game. It doesn't exist. It used to, but it does not exist now. So when I played the pre-beta round where content creators had access, there were a bunch of characters that had defense penalty, and I used them. I had that in every team. That was like important for me. Charlach, who used to be called Charlison, his demon or whatever it was that he summoned, his summon placed decreased defense. Vidimir, the wizard, he placed decreased defense. Those were people I used to make sure I had decreased defense in my, defense penalty in my team, but they changed their kits. They changed a lot of kits, and no one has defense penalty in the game now. So this is the only way to get this debuff is through artifacts. So that one by far stands out to me and was my number one priority. Now, second one I got actually was because I didn't know what direction I was going to take, and I didn't really think any of the other ones fit my poison team. I went with Mirror of Living. This is going to help you no matter who you're using as a healer. Simple enough defense and HP, great survivability, can't go wrong. And then the wearer's heal, when the wearer heals allies with HP below a certain percentage, the healing is increased by 30%. So once you get this leveled up to anytime you're healing an ally below 40%, they're going to just do more heals. That's going to make a really big difference keeping your team alive when they're getting a little bit dodgy. So I feel like this just really helps pretty much any healer. I mean, obviously it would be nice to have the main stats be for someone like Hexandra, attack and enlightenment. Doesn't really help there, but I think you could still really benefit from the skill itself. So definitely a plus for me. The other one that sticks out to me is Blood Prince Bracelet. So this one heals the wearer by a certain percentage of their attack after killing an enemy. Now this is not going to help you when you're doing the Vortex or any of the other dungeon bosses where you're not killing anything. But if you're doing wave clear, this can be awesome. This could be like, this is the idea of like having someone solo AoE clear a goblin run, right? But anyone that's gonna be doing more battles with AoE of some sort, or at least waves, or where there's a minion where you know you end up killing them pretty quickly, this is gonna be a form of lifesteal. They're gonna regain health and be able to stay alive. So this is great for someone super squishy that you know you're using in that content, but keep in mind, you're probably going to want to take it off and put something different on when you go into Vortex, because this is not going to help you there. So this might be a little bit niche, but I do really love the idea of having like a life steal on another character here. I think that can be really helpful in something that's a little bit scary if you're having trouble clearing some content, or if the waves hit you pretty hard. This one here also sticks out to me, Silver Star Horseshoe. So this is definitely made for Dauntless characters. Attack and crit damage. When the wearer launches a basic attack, they have a 20% chance of gaining up to 50% extra attack speed. That just screams Dauntless. If you read all the Dauntless kits, all of their abilities act as basic attacks. So this is constantly going to be triggered and is extremely valuable. So if you're using the Lightning Dauntless characters, I feel like this would probably be your priority 1 or 2. I think this should be everybody's number 1, no matter what your team is. Put it on someone. I don't care who you put it on. Just anyone that's gonna do damage with their ultimate, any kind of damage. This is good. This is good. And this is probably your number 2 if you are going Dauntless. So this is probably one I'm going to buy if I go the Dauntless route for building up my next team. I also really like this. Some characters have interesting passes where they gain extra damage. Even my Eli is a good example. He does extra derived damage when the enemy is under poison. That's his passive. So every time he attacks, if the enemy's under poison, he's dealing out extra damage. So this would be really great here. The extra attack would certainly help him, although it would be nice if there was some enlightenment involved, because enlightenment affects that derivative damage. But I could definitely see getting this in the future for someone like Eli that has a passive like that. So if you have someone that triggers extra damage with their passive, this might be a really fun pick just to add even more extra damage. And this one here, I'm going to mention for the main character. If you're using the main character, the adventurer, as ice, this is really good for the ice character. Number 1, their shields are based on attack. And here we go. Flat attack and attack percentage. Perfect. And the wearer's battle skill gains extra bonus damage. They do really good damage for not having an ultimate that does damage. I have been thoroughly impressed with using my ice character in my teams. Always the 2nd or 3rd best damage, and even like no matter what my combination was, it would always be the 1st or 2nd, honestly, for a while. And there's not even an AoE, there's not even an ultimate in there. So I'm always impressed by the main character's damage, even though it's not the best. Obviously fire is better, but if you're using the ice version of that character and you really haven't found the perfect artifact, I think this one is really strong for the MC. Now, let's go on to legendaries. I'm sure there's plenty of other great usable epic ones. I just wanted to pick out the few that stuck out to me the most personally. It's going to be a difference of opinion depending on your team, so just make sure you look through everything, read through every single one, and decide what you need specifically for the people you're focusing. Alright, so these are very unique. You can see like the top row here, it has to be a certain elemental duplicate. Like my only duplicate is cold, so I could use that one, but I couldn't buy any of these other ones because they are element specific. And then we scroll down here, and then it becomes okay, any soul can be used, which is great. This is a really fun category, and then we're going to talk about the exclusive one next, but let's talk about this overall first. I think you guys knew this one was coming. This is my favorite artifact in the game by far. I don't know that there's any comparison. Maybe you guys could... I mean, of course, this is speculation just based on reading. Obviously, I haven't tested every single one in every single situation, But the big version of defense penalty, that's going to be like 60% decreased defense on the enemies. That's huge. If I love it now, I'm going to really love it with the better version. And you are going to see your characters just melt away the damage the second this is triggered. So this is just a must-have for every comp. Every comp, no matter what you're using, should have this defense penalty on someone. No matter, I don't care who, just someone. Give it to someone. Even if it's not the ideal other artifact stats for them. This is worth it. But keep in mind, this is only on ultimate skills. So, like I mentioned, the ice main character doesn't deal damage on her ultimate or his ultimate. So this would not work for them. Keep that in mind. But this is very strong. Massive defense penalty 2. This is going to be a priority for me, and I don't know that I can talk myself into purchasing another one besides this with my first dupe legendary soul. Now, all of these elemental ones are so fun and very good. I absolutely think they're pretty worthy as well. So this is for the wild characters to gain bonus damage with every successful wild. That's huge. If you know the character puts, whichever one you're using puts wild up the most, that's what goes on them. This is very, very good. Just bonus damage every time they successful wilds. So that's awesome. This we've got same thing. Enemies under frost have a chance of producing hail centered around them, adding bonus cold damage. This is so good too. So I feel like these are really fun. Of course, when it comes to lightning, we're going to have another one that's great for Dauntless, talking about launching basic attacks, triggering bonus combos. Amazing for Dauntless. Obviously, these legendary ones are all going to be better decisions than the epics or the rares, let's be honest. I still prioritize the decreased defense ones on someone though first. All right, Flute of the King. That's Rally. I thought so. So yeah, we have Rally. We have ally summoned creatures for the necrotic, and of course we have poisons. When the wearer deals damage to enemies, each stack of debuff on the target grants bonus damage. 1.5% bonus damage doesn't sound like much, but when you stack that up 20 times, that's a lot. So this is just a really fun, interesting one to try for your poisoners as well. So I think any of these are going to be very strong depending on your comp, and you really can't go wrong with any of them. They should probably be your second choice after this guy right here. This hourglass here is great for energy ultimate recharge time. This is something super helpful if you have a really important ultimate. I mean, every ultimate feels important, right? Depending on what you're using them for. But this is going to be great for support heroes that can really turn the tide of a battle, maybe particularly in arena. Think of this like turn meter for using your ultimate skill. So this is a really great artifact too, especially if you're focusing on some of that PvP and you're trying to rank high. I have to point out this one because it's quite quirky and I think really fun. If you're literally just super lucky or you wailed out and you're going a completely mixed team of like OP legendaries and you use 5 different elements, every character is a different element, you can actually take advantage of this. Like, I think that this is obviously not going to be most people's teams, but this could make it worth it to try and have some fun with experimenting with your lineups. The wearer's skill gains bonus damage for every elemental hero in the team. When there are 5 different elements in the team, the wearer gains an extra up to 20% damage just because there's different elements in the team. So this would make up for your lack of that 15% elemental damage bonus by having the 5 synergy. And then this 4% as well for every 5, so times 20. So that's 40% extra damage instead of the other bonus stat you're getting from the elemental synergies for your 1 damage dealer. So that's definitely something to consider if you have a very strong favorite damage dealer that maybe doesn't synergize with a whole core team of like, maybe it's not Dauntless or Rally, or maybe it's not a specific thing that you have a whole team to build them around. Maybe it's just someone you really, really like and you want to give them a try. This could be super fun to really pump out damage on one core damage dealer and build a team around that character that isn't necessarily the obvious path of the elemental bonuses. I really love that. I think this is super creative, and I love that this game actually encourages us to be so creative in the ways we can build a team because of stuff like this. When it comes to getting an artifact for your tank, I think this is one of the best ones here. Defense and HP. When the wearer is taking damage, there's a 30% chance of bursting out energy, dealing 200% defense as fire damage to surrounding enemies and reducing their damage dealt by 15%. So this is going to be like kind of a decreased attack type buff, or at least decreased damage debuff on the enemy, and special burst damage as well. So this is really great for any tank that you're putting a bunch of defense on. It's going to add opportunity to get some extra damage out of the team here too. I could absolutely see myself using this on Frubath, Muddied Demon, as well. I don't think it'll be my priority, but once I start getting legendary dupes, it's one that I will consider once I've got other ones, if we get extremely lucky or unlucky, again, depending on how you want to look at it. All of them are very interesting. There's so many things. Like this, it literally adds this is like an arena amulet for sure. At the start of the battle, gains control immunity and an immunity debuff. Or debuff immunity and control immunity, so you can't be controlled. That's really cool. Like these are all very interesting. But are they worth doing this over using them as a empowerment, as a, let's see, improvement? I'm gonna open that up now. Keep in mind that you have to consider doing this first. I think for me personally, it's going to be second. And I say that because I really, really want that decreased defense, the defense penalty 2 version for my team, because that will be great for any team. Where this, if I just improve him right now, it's only improving him and nobody else, right? Now, it's not to say he's not good, but I'm not focusing the ice right now. And he's a tank at the end of the day, and I feel like it's easier to fulfill that role. You might want to use the inspirations for... I mean, to be fair, everyone has unique inspirations, so it's really got to be a strong debate. But I think first, as long as the character isn't that you get a dupe of is not one you're prioritizing where you want to do the inspirations right away first, if it's someone that's kind of on the back burner like he is for me, I'm willing to sacrifice his first dupe and get that defense penalty one instead. But for the most part, I don't think you should do that, because this is gonna really, really help these characters. So just keep this in mind before you decide to go crunching your souls for artifacts. This can really, really help. For him, it's chance of dispelling debuffs on himself, which is really nice. It's an extra cleanse. And as we get up higher, like, this is really good. Just chance to be immune to control effects. Like this, all these bonus stats are going to be really helpful. So of course I want this. I would like this on a character I'm using eventually. But if it's not someone that you're focusing in your current core team or your one you're planning to work on next, maybe, like I don't think I'm doing a cold focused team anytime soon. So I think I'm okay to sacrifice this and go ahead and buy that defense penalty one. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hope no regrets, but that is my personal opinion when it comes to these. Is if you get a legendary one, don't buy the artifacts except for something like the defense penalty that can really benefit every team, no matter the team. It's going to be solid. Otherwise, if it's a character you're using, go ahead and inspire them first. When it comes to the exclusive side of the shop here, you have to analyze if getting this before inspiring the character like we just talked about is going to be worth it even more so. Because not only is it the really great characters in the game like Vitar, who probably deserve to be inspired, but you also need another legendary dupe soul here on top of that, on top of their dupe. So if you choose to, let's say, get this, you might be missing out on that first level of inspiration. Or maybe you get the first level of inspiration, but the second one feels meh, so you get this second before worrying about continuing inspiration if you happen to pull 3 of the same character. But this is really honestly a hard topic to talk about specifically until we look at every single character's inspiration bonuses and compare to what these actually do. So this is something I might make a separate video on the test server once I am looking at all of the characters and take a deeper dive, but I think that kind of deserves its own video and just a quick little nod, but you're gonna have to take a look and compare on your own. But these seem a bit expensive to me, although some of the skills seem pretty interesting, honestly. I'm not gonna lie, they seem pretty cool. I just don't know if it's worth the dupe plus another dupe unless you're super Kraken. I feel like these are truly the Kraken territory, which is good. I feel like if someone does spend a lot of money and they do get dupes, they need something to do with them, and this is a unique way to give them an advantage and reward them for getting them, right? It's kind of gotta have something for people that are willing to whale out like that. So not so bad, but again, I'm not going to go into these in too much detail because it deserves its own long, detailed analysis and video separately. And by the way, guys, I followed my own advice and put some of those artifacts on my people. We have Eli doing 2.1 million damage himself. I went from 3.4 to 4.5 in 1 day of changes just by adjusting my artifacts. And only a couple of levels. I did not even add the extra positive rune slot in to Eli or my main character. This is very minimal changes overall. But alright, that's been all for today's artifact guide. I hope you guys had some good food for thought and can appreciate the value of some of the ones I talked about. Let me know in the comments below if you guys have experimented with certain artifacts and you really feel strongly about certain ones being your favorite. I'd love to hear what's working for you, as it's so early in the game still. I haven't tried everything, and on my real account here, I've only tested 1 core team. 1! And now I'm getting access to the test server again, and I will start doing some experimentation there, but that takes time, and I haven't really delved deep into that yet. But we have plenty of time to have fun with that, and I will pump out some other additional content soon. But that's all for today's video. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.